Welcome to the Dave Mierswa Show, the cutting-edge talk show about legal, political, and current issues. Practicing in both Wisconsin and Illinois, David Mierswa is a leading trial attorney bringing nearly 2 decades of business law, family law, personal injury, and estate planning experience to you. The Dave Mierswa Show, about the people, for the people, and bringing justice to the people. The Dave Mierswa Show, its guests, agents, and WRLR are not rendering any legal advice. All listeners are encouraged to seek legal advice from properly licensed and qualified professionals. Welcome to the Dave Mierswa Show. I hope everyone is having a great Sunday. We getting fired up here. I know my little laptop seemed to have a mind of its own, but I pushed the right secret buttons to it, and then the intro went off. So I hope everyone's having a great Sunday. You just tuned in to the Dave Mierswa Show. I've been an attorney for almost 20 years. This is the show that's in-your-face topics, cutting-edge topics, the show about the people, for the people, and bringing justice to the people. I have, who's not even a guest anymore, I would say co-host.
Sure.
You showed up 4 times, so you met the
Right.
criteria.
Cool.
So you want to introduce yourself and who you are?
Sure, I'm Peggy Busceni, and I am the co-host of this Sunday 12 o'clock show on WRLR, and we're hanging out together now on Sundays.
Yeah, pretty cool, Peggy. I love having you on board. You got a unique sense of humor.
This is
A
great.
great sense of humor, and a very sarcastic sense of humor. I love that.
Yeah.
And I got, it's been great for me to have co-hosts. I can throw stuff back and forth, and then myself just talking about audio clips. So it's been great having you on board. So let's get into the show. We're going to do our public service announcements known as PSAs. We'll get those out of the way. We're going to get right into the show because this is only an hour show. And as we know, this thing flies by every Sunday.
It goes so fast, there's so much to talk about. Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's great.
There is. And I'll get into the topic second from now. So on September 23rd, the doors open at 6:30. We're going to be having our GEO Dinner Awards. Tickets are available here at the station. You can also call into the station too. And the tickets are $35. And what this is, folks, the GEO Awards are awards to all of the show producers. Like I'm a host of my show, but I'm also the producer. And so we give out awards every year, and this is a time where we like to get a little crazy. There's spirits and food involved. So again, that's going to be Friday, September 23rd, 6:30 p.m. And you can contact us here at WRLR, and go on Facebook. The number's there as well. And then also we have an app that you can put on your smartphone, which is great for listening. So again, Friday, September 23rd will be the GEO Awards here for WRLR. Pretty cool. Also, let me get out my other shout-outs here. Reach Rescue is a non-for-profit, non-kill animal shelter located in Mundelein. They have a resale shop right next to the adoption center, so please stop by there. If you have some good stuff you want to donate, tax deductible, better yet, get a animal adoption from them. And then also Save a Pet, which is located in Grays Lake. I passed it on my way here. They're on North Fairfield Road. So stop in there, donate food, time, money, whatever you can to save animals. Peggy, go ahead, read your PSA.
My PSA has to do with music, actually. If you have old records, CDs, cassettes, or 8-tracks that are just taking up space in your house, you can help WRLR in its mission to bringing the power of radio to your community by donating your record collection to WRLR. If you donate these records to us, we will turn them into a tax deduction for you and a source of funds for us. So WRLR is a 501c3 corporation, nonprofit organization. So if you want to contribute to WRLR, please call us at 847-380-9957, or you can email us at studio@wrlr.fm. We'll be taking donations at our studios at 629 Pontiac Court in Round Lake Heights, Illinois. We're right next to the police station. And then you can also drop off your donations on Monday and Friday mornings from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. So check the Facebook page if you need additional donation times. But feel free to give up those old records, cassettes, 8 tracks. Oh my goodness, 8 tracks. I remember them, but just barely.
Yeah, as a kid, I remember my uncle used to play Johnny Cash on 8-track.
Yeah, we should play, what did we play? Trini Alvarez. I don't even know.
Who's that?
He had some really good music. My parents loved him, and
Okay.
8-track.
Yeah, 8-track. That was big time stuff, you know,
Yeah, it
high-end
was.
technology. And now we got all this great spyware, I mean computerware.
Exactly.
Okay, today's topic, let's get into it. This is in-your-face, hard-edge cutting topic here today. We're going to talk about the releasing of more Gitmo prisoners, and then also we're going to talk about the Hillary Foundation. I call it a scandal. It is now, there's enough information there to call it another Clinton scandal. So we're going to talk about Hillary Clinton Foundation scandal. And let me get into the first audio clip. We're going to hit the Hillary Foundation scandal right away. So let me play this next clip from Fox News. Of course, Fox News.
Fox, yes, in your face.
Hi, I'm Eric Bowling in for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Let's get right to our top story. New revelations in the Hillary Clinton email scandal. About 300 pages of emails released Tuesday are raising questions about quid pro quo relationships between Clinton Foundation staffers and Hillary Clinton's State Department. Joining us now with reaction from Washington, Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch, the group which uncovered these new emails. Doug, I mean, we've heard about these emails for most of the day, but again,
Can you plug
Doug
in?
Band, a
Can
top
you plug in my
Clinton,
laptop?
Clinton Foundation official, asking the State Department for access to a Lebanese man, presumably to do business with them, and then this man, Doug Band, says there's a lot of money involved. There's $1 million, somewhere between $1 million and $5 million involved that the Clinton Foundation is going to receive, right?
Yeah, Shigori, the name of the man is Mr. Shigori, and he's a billionaire. He gave between $1 million and $5 million to the Clinton Foundation, committed to $1 billion program associated with the Clinton Global Initiative, which is also part of the foundation. And so the Clinton Foundation's top operative, Doug Band, communicates with Clinton's top aides at the State Department saying he wants to talk to someone, your top guy, about Lebanon. And, you know, he says he's important to us, which translates to most normal people as he's important to us because he's a big donor to us. And so people have raised the issue is why is it that Mrs. Clinton, who promised to stay out of Clinton Foundation business, almost immediately the Clinton Foundation and her top aides are trying to take care of a Clinton donor?
Now, if you read some of these emails, it sounds like this Doug Band is telling whom Abedin in this instance was working at the time, at this moment for Hillary Clinton, telling her what he wants her to do. And she's responding saying, yes, I'll do that. I'll get that done. That is the very definition of quid pro quo, especially if you tie in that money, the $1 to $5 million.
Exactly, and Abedin and Cheryl Mills, who was also involved in this process, had been closely associated with the Clinton Foundation. In fact, Abedin later went to work for the foundation while working for the State Department at the same time. So this is working hand in glove, and Mrs. Clinton promised, in order to get it confirmed as the Secretary of State, to keep the Clinton Foundation out of State Department business. And those rules and that promise and that ethics agreement was violated almost immediately.
Can you, Tom, can you lock down these timelines? So the people are pushing back saying, hey, maybe the time didn't line up right. But these things happened from January 2009 when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State during her 4-year term, right?
Yeah, this is all during her term as State Department. She was at the State Department. Doug Band talked to her former colleagues at the State Department from the Clinton Foundation, now at the State Department, to get this favor done for Mr. Shigori. There's also another email where the subject line says, a favor. Someone was seeking a job at the State Department. Band wanted some follow-up on that, and he was told there was follow-up. We don't know if it was a donor or just an associate or a friend, but once again, if you knew the Clinton Foundation, had a friend at the Clinton Foundation or were a big donor to the Clinton Foundation, you got a favor done, which was special access to the upper reaches of Hillary Clinton's State Department.
All right, one more question. Who agreed, who thought would be a good idea, and who agreed, who signed off on whom Aberdeen being able to work for not only the State Department, but simultaneously work for the Clinton Foundation? I mean, I don't know if it's a conflict or corruption, but someone had to sign off on that, right?
Yeah, later we found the document. We thought initially it was signed by Hillary Clinton because her name is on the form, but Cheryl Mills, her chief of staff, signed it for her. So again, approved at the upper reaches of the State Department.
Wow. I mean, there's
Mills, by
so
the way,
many
later
levels.
went.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mills, by the way, later went to work for the Clinton Foundation and is now with the foundation. after the State
Honestly,
Department.
the incestual relationships between these two, there's more to come, I'm guessing. Tom, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Joining us with more on the legal implications of all this, Fox senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano.
Okay, so that was a huge soundbite there. Can you? This is just one more scandal with the Clintons. Unbelievable. What's your reaction to that, Peggy?
Well, I've been reading a little bit this week about this foundation. How lucky to be able to make this kind of money, and I'm not sure what the foundation's for, but just rake in all this money and continue to function and have no questions asked. I mean, it's from 2009 that they're just talking about. That's 6 years worth of work.
Oh, yeah.
Have they done any work, or what? Are they just moving money around?
They donated, from what my research concluded, they donated a very, very small percent
Like
to
$2.
actual charities and people in need.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did donate, hey, thank you for doing that. They spent millions and millions of dollars of the foundation's money for travel money.
Yeah.
That's huge. Also, it came out this last week too, Peggy, that the foundation took in $20 to $30 million for relief for Haiti.
Oh.
And we don't know if that's been released or not. And the media, as we say, Hillary's media, there's just no reports on this. And again, with the server, see, now you're lining this all up. You have an email server that's on private property. A private email server was used to gain illicit funds. Here in law, and you know this, in law, you can get prosecuted as an attorney. It's called conflict of interest,
Yes.
at a minimum. And if it's bad enough, you could be disbarred.
Right.
And in this case, it's such a huge conflict of interest. And tell me if I'm wrong or right, but I believe Hillary and Bill Clinton have been disbarred as attorneys down in Arkansas.
Yes, they both have. They
So-
both have
And what does it tell you about their
tactics.
character? But again, they outgrew that. They don't care. But the foundation was definitely used for personal gain and personal services. And even though they also signed a pledge when she became Secretary of State, she signed a pledge. The Obama administration knew the history of Hillary.
Yes.
And this was a payoff to Hillary to keep her quiet under the Obama administration.
True.
And, but as far as this goes, the foundation, the legalities of this are just beginning. But she wiped out, also came out this week that she used a software. First of all, when she said her staff went through the emails, and all her personal emails said that was like yoga, and there were emails to Bill about her daughter's wedding. Bill later admitted that he doesn't use email.
Oh.
Yeah, how you like that? See, when you tell lies, you got to get all of the other people in conjunction with you.
Right.
And that's how we break it down in a court of law.
Yeah, yeah.
And, with that, she had on her staff, she had lawyers review all the emails. And what do lawyers and clients have?
They have the privacy,
Confidential, right,
Yes.
you hit the nail on the head, Peggy.
Yeah.
They have what's known as attorney-client privilege.
Yes.
So they were paid on her staff members that were licensed attorneys. They went through her emails and deleted all of these emails, which they said were personal nature.
Wow.
And then they use a software to cleanse it all so you can't reconstruct it. So all these emails are coming out. And then also coming up by, I believe it's September 12th, Judicial Watch, which is, I know they're right wing, and they're anti-Obama and anti-Hillary.
Yes.
But they are getting to the truth. Like they said that, oh, there's emails, there's nothing there. At the beginning of 2016, Peggy, I predicted that the foundation was going to be another scandal.
Sure.
And that it would come out. So that definitely came out. Let's play a next audio clip here. That same audio clip that has the judge on there, Judge Napolitano. Let's hear what he has to say with the legal twist.
Judge, you're listening to this. We're shaking our heads going, how much, this is almost textbook quid pro quo.
Right, if it weren't so tragic, it would almost be laughable that the right hand permits the left hand to engage in this. What we have here, not only from Tom's work, and by the way, he's a single-handed, dedicated person who exposed all this by filing these Freedom of Information Act lawsuits. What we see here is a regular, consistent pattern of foreign governments, foreign entities, and foreign persons coming to the Clinton State Department and asking for favors. Favors she is lawfully allowed to give, an exemption from this rule, permission to do that, the opportunity to purchase this. And then after the favor is issued, formally using the formal power that the federal law gives to the Secretary of State, huge contributions are made to the Clinton Foundation, and in some cases, huge speaking fees to Bill Clinton himself, by huge, $750,000, $500,000 to former President Bill Clinton, the husband of the Secretary of State, for a 35-minute speech.
Let me tie that up even further. These things happened after 2009.
Right.
Bill Clinton has not been president for 9 years at that point.
Right.
Yet his speaking fee went from $100,000 to $200,000 up to $500,000 and above 9 years after he left. But it happens to coincide with Hillary Clinton's time, 11 of the 13,
Of course.
during her time as
Of course,
State
because he's not only producing a speech, he's producing some exemption from American federal regulation or some opportunity in America for these people that are hosting the speech that only his wife can give. Eric, in my view, this is an easier case for the FBI to prove than the email case was. It's easier for the public to understand. It's easier for a jury to understand.
It's circumstantial at this point, Judge, though. I mean, you and I have this idea that, yes, his fee went up double and triple during her time, but is there a smoking gun?
If the DOJ were serious about this, they would indict some of the people who got these favors, and those people would spill the beans on what their negotiations were with Bill and his people and what their negotiations were with Hillary and her people. This is a very, very serious allegation.
So we just heard from Judge Napolitano, who, obviously resides on the right, but, he's talking about his legal experience. And there have been criminal RICO cases that had less circumstantial evidence than the Hillary emails. And there's going to be more release coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And what's his name? Usage, whatever's Assange.
Oh, Julian.
Yeah, Julian Assange said he's going to be releasing even more
WikiLeaks.
Yeah, WikiLeaks emails on Hillary. So we don't know what those are. He could just be getting fanfare. But, here you have this conflict of interest, and she sold out, American influence. And you can't tell me, the speaker fees, again, you add it all up. And, there's a lot of Hillary listeners out there. And I'm telling you, take a look at all of the controversies that surround Trump. Okay, yes, he's being sued, university, and he's been in lawsuits, he's been in business. But then take a look at all the controversies around Hillary and compare them side by side. And there's no comparison who has a history of corruption. And I'm not saying Donald Trump doesn't have possible history of corruption.
Well, sure.
And
forever. Yeah.
maybe he does, he doesn't. But right now, the left media is just avoiding this like the plague. You know, unbelievable. And here's my notes for Trump versus Hillary. So, and I'm going to do this every show. So people, I want to get to the issues. You know, there's a couple talk shows, and they call it the drive-by media and all that. And I call it the left entertainment media.
There we go.
They really are.
Yeah.
And they're a joke.
Yeah.
They are a joke. You can't even listen to them in getting the facts. Here, at least on this show, I try to state the facts. You know, we are rendering an opinion, but I try to elicit facts like I would in a court of law to prove to a jury. The jury, to me, is the listeners here at WRLR. So
Yeah.
let's get back to the issues at hand between Hillary and Trump. So Trump is for secured borders, wants to build a wall. Hillary doesn't. Trump wants to rebuild the military, bring pride back to the military, and actually have strong military leadership.
Yeah.
Wants to bring education back to the states. Wants to repeal Common Core, which has been a disaster. I've heard from teachers, and I've asked teachers to come on my show. They're afraid to come on my show because of the backlash of the teachers union.
Well, sure.
Believe it or not, I have also had mothers that I know out here in Lake County that don't want to say anything on my show because they're afraid of, again, the backlash. Which, you know, folks, all I can do is point out this show, and, you know, we're not afraid to state our opinion,
Well, right. Yeah.
let alone on the air.
Yeah. It's,
and on YouTube.
well, sure.
Okay, so then energy independence. Hillary wants to shut down the coal fields, which under Obama he has tens of thousands of workers out of line. Also, he wants to. This is the major thing for me. This is the deal breaker between Hillary and Trump. Trump will appoint conservative judges, which is huge. Hillary won't. Hillary will appoint more left-leaning, and depending what happens
It's
with.
so dangerous. It is
Yeah.
so dangerous to let that happen if she is president. I mean,
Yeah.
we're already amok with all of our rules and laws of the
Yeah.
country and everything else.
It's insane.
I mean, we already are in a flux, and then if she gets in and this happens, oh my God, this
Yeah.
is going
And
to be
and if you're
disastrous.
a diehard Obama fan, I know you're going to vote for Hillary.
Well, right.
So what's the difference, you know, with them? But anyway, we still are going to attack the issues. Trump wants to cut federal taxes. Hillary wants to increase them. Trump wants to reduce government. Hillary wants to increase government. Obamacare will be replaced and, well, repealed and replaced.
Repealed and replaced by
She
Trump.
she wants to expand the auspices of Obamacare,
I don't know
which
I don't know how she can do it because it's already escalating in price,
yeah.
and people are already disgruntled with that happening.
Oh, it's going up 45% this year alone in Illinois, and then also I believe it's like 14 or 15 states where there's only one insurance company left, and Aetna just pulled out. They announced like a week ago they're pulling out of 15 states as well.
Oh, that is just nightmarish.
So if you're on the fence between these two, you know, you better take a look at the difference between Hillary and Trump, because there really is. Let's talk about defining one of America's enemies, radical Islamic terrorists. Hillary said it once, and the drive-by media said, oh, she said it and now they're not saying it. He wants to take on ISIS in a bigger way. Here's another deal breaker for me with Hillary. Hillary is anti-Second Amendment. She's flip-flopped so much on this back and forth, but again, she's anti-Second Amendment. Trump is definitely for it. Also, now, Hillary came on board where she wants to renegotiate some deals with different countries where we are having a trade deficit.
Well, yeah, but you know, if you bring in information about like her foundation and stuff, who is contributing to that. This is all of a sudden why she wants to renegotiate or talk to other countries and stuff and appear to be open-minded about
Right.
these other places. And,
Right.
you know, it's crazy. She's waffling and sidestepping. You know,
And this issue, as well as border security, would not be on the docket but for Trump. And, you know,
True.
huge.
true.
Also, I believe Trump, right now, under the Obama administration, we got over 50 million more people on welfare.
Yes.
And also, there's over 40 to 50 million people, I believe it's even more than that, they can't find a job, a high-paying job in the area that they used to have. And they are taking one or two jobs, and also a lot of the employers, to avoid paying under Obamacare, the oppressive taxes under that,
Yes.
are not paying their employees and not giving 40, 50 hours a week, you
Or
know.
insurance or anything
Yep.
like that. Yeah.
And people forget that. So that's the difference between Obama and Hillary. You know, we're talking about some of the sub issues here,
Right.
but there is a huge difference between these issues. And this alone, this election alone, is going to decide the fate of America from next 30 to 40 years, just based on the Supreme Court justices.
Correct. And really, I mean, you say 30 to 40 years. This is the future of America, period.
Yeah.
I mean, people, our children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, everyone's going to be affected by this, and it is more long-term than most people realize. And it could be the end of the America that we know. Actually,
Well, it is.
America is already gone.
Over the last 8 years, they're
Yes.
saying it will take 20 years to get out the entrenchment
Yeah.
of Obama supporters and policymakers
Correct.
within the government. I think there's an easy way to do that, and
Well,
that's to
yeah.
fire them.
Right.
They'll go back into hiding. When hopefully there's going to be a Republican president, they'll go back into the hiding.
True.
As far as a lot of these government workers go.
Mm.
But here's another thing, and this is really ticking me off. Both sides are not talking about the debt. We have $19 trillion in debt.
Yeah, how did that happen? I don't know.
Do you notice both sides aren't talking
Nothing.
about it?
Absolutely nothing.
It's a hot potato,
Mhm.
and if Trump really wants to be heard, and he's in-your-face president, which he is,
Mhm.
then he should be talking about the $19 trillion debt
Yeah.
and saying, if you got children, I'm the candidate that will put it back on the agenda. I don't know exactly how we're going to solve that because it's such a huge elephant in the room,
Exactly.
but it's back on the radar.
Mhm. See, and I think that's probably why he's not saying a whole lot about it yet, because they just don't know how to address it.
Yeah.
And it is just enormous. And if they continue to say, well, since Obama's been in office, the debt has gone to 19 trillion. I've seen some statistics.
It's doubled.
Yeah, it's double when he first started, things like that. It's such a tedious subject to get into, and I'm sure Trump is saying there's a million other things we need to talk about first. But this also it should be first, but it can't be.
It is so overwhelming that
Yeah.
each American, I forget the statistic, it's like each American owes $63,000
Yeah.
or something like that towards his debt. I think it's more than that. I think it's
Yeah.
up to over $100,000 per American
Which-
just to pay off. And there's no plan right now to pay this off.
Mhm.
And even if Trump gets in, the 19 trillion will easily go to 22 trillion just based on interest payments,
Sure.
which,
sure.
it's the very definition of insane.
Yeah.
And a lot of the talk show hosts out there, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and a lot of them at CNN and all that, they're not talking about the $19 trillion debt and how it's crippling America and how it's going to cripple America worse, because all of our money, all the tax revenues are going to go to pay interest.
Right. And we'll never see the end of this one.
Yeah,
19 trillion.
And you've seen, I don't know if you've been in credit card debt at all.
Oh,
I
who
think,
hasn't?
yeah, and
Yes.
that's another whole topic.
Mhm.
But I've been in credit card debt, and as a student,
Yeah.
and I didn't pay for 6 months, and then after it was over 30% interest in 1 year.
Exactly. Yes.
You know, which is usury.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing that's happening here. Is that the credit card, the American people you can't tax this, and how are we going to spend for it? We got to go to break, Peggy.
Okay.
The first 30 minutes has just flown by again.
Oh my God, it's like fast. Woo.
Your
Okay.
your opinion is just so in your face this morning.
Well, you know, I'm just a little riled up.
All right, we'll be back in a couple of minutes here. We're going to go to break.
President Obama, back when he was elected, within the first week he was saying he was going to close Guantanamo Bay because of, he called it a sad chapter in American history, and he promised to close down the prison in 2009. Now, how he can make these unilateral decisions has been amazing to me, because after I've read more and more history about Guantanamo Bay, it was a very lofty idea he had to do this, and in order to do it, he just can't. It can't happen. You know, I once had a professor in library school when I was working on my master's degree, and the man was brilliant. He was an older professor, and he said, you know, you can't turn a submarine on a dime, and I have never forgotten that, and I use that occasionally when things like this come up, where President Obama wants to turn off Guantanamo Bay, and all of a sudden put all these prisoners throughout our country after they have been terrorizing us and things like that. You know, these are the worst of the worst criminals.
And killing Americans.
And killing Americans, and you know, finding room for them in a prison, and trying to say that, you know, we're being terrible to these prisoners, and so, but they tried to kill our people. So, you know, he's trying to make amends for this camp. They call it a camp, but it's not really a camp, it's a prison. And, you know, these people that have terrorized our country, you know, he's trying to solve the problem within a week of his presidency, which
Right.
amazes me.
He's a lame duck president.
He started as one,
And-
and he still is.
And he's putting Americans at risk.
Mhm.
These are combatants in no recognized army.
Right.
So the convention, the Geneva Convention,
Yes.
does not apply to these terrorists.
Mhm.
And Peggy, this is one thing that just puts me on fire.
Right.
Is our president is making a political statement at risk of Americans
Yes.
by allowing these prisoners to be transferred to other countries, and they end up back in the battlefield. There's a 30 to 40% retention rate of these terrorist killers that have conspired and killed Americans,
Exactly.
mostly abroad, but unbelievable. Let's play the next audio clip here. And this is from O'Reilly again. So,
Yeah.
folks, I'm trying to get some other news clips in from CNN, but they're not covering this stuff. So let me play the next audio clip here from O'Reilly.
Dr. Palm said tonight the U.S. government has released 15 inmates from Guantanamo prison, sending them to the United Arab Emirates. That leaves just 61 detainees at Gitmo right now, which President Obama...
Isn't that crazy?
That's way
Joins us
crazy.
in Washington, Fox News strategic analyst, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. So, first of all, how do these releases work? We learn about them to read the press after the fact, and then they're not widely reported. So how do they actually work?
Well, there's a formal process, Bill, and then there's a way it really works. The formal process is there's a Guantanamo review task force that Obama established in 2009 that vets them all and says, are these ready for release? That wasn't quick enough. So in 2011, he established a periodic review board, and that still hasn't been quick enough. So he's now basically presidentially ordering it. But there is a formal vetting process that makes no mention of the tremendous power of the White House and the pressure the president's brought upon them. And so President Obama, it's essentially, despite the interagency facade, it's a unilateral process. The president wants them gone. Now, we also make a great ballyhoo about vetting the countries that are getting them. They've sent them to Saudi Arabia, to Gulf states, to Uruguay, but really there's not a serious follow-up thereafter. And so up to a third of them have gone back to the battlefield.
Now, is that a fact? Up to a third of those released from Guantanamo Bay have gone back to fight against the USA. Can you back that up with sources for us?
Well, the government, I think it's 17.4% are confirmed as having gone back to jihad. Another almost 13% are suspected of possibly having gone back, which
It is just
mind-boggling to hear that.
completely.
I just, yeah, because when I was doing the research for this, I used Wikipedia, which I try not to use because it is an open source a resource which anyone can put anything in there and stuff. But
Right.
I'm seeing this saying 126 current detainees got sent home to.
Yeah, there's 62 left.
Yeah.
There's 62 left
Yeah,
detainees.
yeah, and it's like.
And they're not detainees. See, that's the left labeling them. They are terrorists.
Yeah.
They are combatant terrorists. So let's first of all correct what they are.
Yeah, they are terrorists and they intend to do harm. Now, I was looking at the word terrorist, terrorism, things like that. That word never started out to be like this. Here, let me see, where's my page? The terrorism really started out as an act by the state against a group within, and state meaning, the government, and it was to force people to, I don't want to say behave, but to come into the law and stuff like that. So we have totally turned it into a word that people act out against the state or government, So
Right.
we've turned it around.
Well, under the Obama administration and also under Bush, they included a lot of Americans, dissenting Americans, to be a domestic terrorist now.
Right.
So that's the key word that some people, and there are some domestic terrorists, but they're
There are.
saying anyone who has a strong opinion
Right. All of a sudden,
is
terrorists.
is labeled a domestic terrorist. Let's play an audio clip from Hillary to see her issue and stance on Gitmo.
I've been on record in favor of closing Guantanamo for a long time, since 2008. When I was Secretary of State, working closely with the President, I had a special envoy to find places that could take back some of the prisoners, just as President Bush had done before President Obama. I believe the President is right to try to close it. I think it is a continuing recruitment advertisement for terrorists. I know that he wants to work with the Congress, and I hope the Congress will work with him, Chris, because there is no reason for us to continue to have Guantanamo, which is a very serious, symbol, I would say, for a lot of the people around the world who would do us harm and try to recruit others to do us harm. So where they end up should be a matter of negotiation. And I know that's what the President wants to do. I will say this, we've got a few places in the country, not here, but the maximum security place that I think in Colorado, there's one in Illinois, that holds some really
Okay, so that's Hillary. And again, if you love what Obama has done with Gitmo, there's no sense talking to you. Your mind's made up.
Right.
But again, Hillary is going to be a third term of the Obama administration. We've been saying that from day one.
Yeah.
And then this is another thing that just really ticks me off. And, it's Sunday, so I got to choose my words carefully. Oh, yeah, we're also on the air.
Oh, yeah.
So, but you can say such other words, but we'll choose them carefully. But, that last audio clip was by CNN.
Ah, okay.
So an interview by CNN. But they're saying that Gitmo, the existence of Gitmo, is a recruitment video for terrorists.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
Right.
If they're not using that, they're going to use anything. They don't like Western freedom.
right,
They don't like women having an opinion.
exactly,
They don't like women driving,
right, or
They-
doing anything, really.
having a job, having an opinion. They don't like, Western democracy at all.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what we say or do, they're going to kill Americans.
Yes,
And this notion, and I've been watching Obama for the last 8 years, and it is just been, it's like he's been
Horrendous.
tripping down the stairs over and over and over and over.
yeah,
And and he'll do drone strikes. He'll do drone strikes, but one of the other issues that under Obama administration, when Hillary was Secretary of State, we withdrew from Iraq, which was the basis for ISIS to move into Iraq
well.
and
right.
out of Syria. Which it is
That was
just.
a mess. I mean, he claims that we moved out of Iraq, but did we? I mean, it was unclear. He said that was one of his goals, is to get our
Yeah.
soldiers back and everything. But I don't think there was a lot of press given to that, as far as where did they really go? Did they really come out of Iraq, or are they still there in certain clusters? Or,
Yeah. Well, they were taken out of combat. So
Well-
either way, if we still had some troops there, I know a lot of them were redeployed to the U.S. and U.S. bases around the world. We did have a small thing. And here's another show. I should do this show. There are over 25 to 30,000 contractors in Afghanistan still.
Oh, well,
People don't know that.
yes.
That's another whole show.
That's a big money deal.
But there are private contractors as well in Iraq too. We're kind of getting off base here, but again, we're going to see, as I predicted it at the beginning of this year with my radio show, Peggy, which all shows are uploaded to my website, law540.com, law540.com, or go to YouTube and type in Dave Mierswa, and then you will see my handsome face and Peggy's pretty face.
Why, thank you.
Up on YouTube. So let's hear of course, we got to hear what Trump has to say.
Yes.
And
Don't forget him.
yeah, let's hear what Trump has to say on Gitmo here.
This morning I watched President Obama talking about Gitmo, right? Guantanamo Bay. Which by the way, we are keeping open. Which we are keeping open. And we're gonna load it up with some bad dudes, believe me, we're gonna load it up. But here's the thing I didn't understand. I heard this, but I didn't understand it. We spent $40 million a month on maintaining this place. Now think of it. $40 million a month. I think we have, what do we have left in there, like 100 people or something? So we're spending $40 million. I would guarantee you that I could do it for a tiny, I don't mean like 39, I mean like maybe 5, maybe 3, maybe like peanuts. Maybe in our deal with Cuba, we get them to take it over and and reimburse us because we're probably paying rent.
Yeah, we do pay rent on Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, I think we do. And that audio clip was from count.com. So
okay.
just so we give
Credit.
proper credit. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
And this just burns me. It burns me. We got about 6-7 minutes left in the show, Peggy, so we got a time frame here. But since I started this show, and for years and years and years, I have just been watching the Obama administration
Annihilate us.
and just, there has been no terrorist that has hurt America as bad. And I'm not calling the president a terrorist, but I'm analogizing that, like the damage that was done from 9/11,
Yes.
and all the terrorism and everything that happened from that, our own president has, some people say it's better for America, but I think he's damaged America so much worse than any terrorist could dream of.
Well, sure, but that's the idea a terrorist group is, that they have, is to make everyone afraid and to make everyone rethink their steps and just terrorize the, common person. And I know, like with September 11th, I remember that day clearly, and people back then, and it seems like a million years ago, but it wasn't, but people were afraid to go places, do things. I mean, they had to really just sort of reevaluate what they, what their plans were and what they wanted to do, where they wanted to go. The people were vacationing overseas and stuff like that. Well, they totally changed plans, and and now it's getting to the point where we're going into that cycle again.
Yeah.
Because the word terrorism is just being bandied about so easily.
Right.
And we should not be afraid. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But
part of you as president of the United States, going back to this, you got to set aside your partisan politics for the security of Americans and our children.
Right.
And above everything. And even if you're hated, even if you're disliked by the other side, or you're perceived as being, more on the right when it comes to security of the United States, and our president just has failed miserably at providing that security and the leadership. This is the biggest thing that has driven me crazy. Is the lack of leadership coming out of the White House, and all of the, he'll make one statement, then there's no follow through.
Right.
There's a audio clip released, and then he's on to the next soundbite, and there's no consistency, and there's been no consistent foreign policy. I guess there is. It's called hands off.
Hands off and let's see where we can go vacation.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
But it really, the inconsistency, like with Syria, when he said Assad, there was other governments that proved that Assad used chemical weapons. And our president gave us, I don't forget.
Right.
And he gave a speech that Assad must go at any cost. Okay, and then look who's still in power.
Still there.
And then he allowed the vacuum of his lack of decision making, allowed the Russians to come in. The Russians have not been part of the Middle East for the last 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
And now they have come in, they have parked here in Syria, which is in the heart of the Middle East. They're not going anywhere.
Nope.
And in fact, I think they just brokered a new peace accord that may hold fast, but Assad is still in power. So again, our president has really just fallen down, and when it comes to American security.
He's said nothing to it. He's addressed nothing. He's followed up on nothing. He has not stepped up and said, hey, we are not going to take this. I mean, he has allowed people to just beat us up and let us bleed to death.
And he goes around apologizing for Americans just being Americans.
Right.
And we still are an experiment. America is still an experimental democracy every day that we get up. And I tell you, we got about four or 5 minutes left in the show here, Peggy. But this is the biggest thing that I want the listeners to realize. And like with the San Bernardino shooting, it was still in play in our president. And don't forget, it's President Obama and Hillary.
Yeah.
So these two are two sides of a coin.
Yeah.
So when I talk about Obama, you can see Hillary is right on the flip side. So under President Obama and San Bernardino shooting, if you remember that, he said it was workplace violence.
Yes. Well,
And
it was, but not.
right, it was still in play. How do you know what it is and what it isn't.
Right.
And as a lawyer, and you too as a librarian, and we do our research,
Yes.
we find out the facts. And this is another huge issue I have had with this administration is, again, they put out sound bites. They don't care about the truth.
Right.
And same thing too with the Fort Hood shooter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's workplace violence.
Yeah. You know, but again, that was done by, was a person, a foreign person, even though he was in the United States military. Did he had ties to,
Yeah, he I believe he was a doctor
yeah,
in the U.S. military, and he was of the Muslim faith. And again,
no,
we are not criticizing the Muslim faith
no,
or Catholics
no,
or any other religion.
no,
We are defining who the enemy philosophy is and who the enemy is.
right.
The extreme radical Muslims
Mhm.
that, and then they say, you know, under Bush that was hijacked. But so, you know, today, folks, we really, you know, hit the nail on the head, and there are less than about 140 days left of his presidency.
I'm counting them,
Yeah, and we're 71 days to the election,
Yes.
so a
yes.
little over 2 months. And, you know, I highlighted and I'm going to do this every show, rest on out up until the election, to go over issue by issue, you know, Trump versus Hillary. And, but I got to say that we can't forget about the damage that this president can do with America in his last days in the office.
Exactly.
And God knows, today's Sunday, and God knows what he's going to do to hurt America even worse.
Right.
And, you know, but luckily, I guess he's scheduled October, most of October and some beginning of November to go canvass for Hillary.
Oh.
So I'm hoping that if he's not in the White House, then, you know, maybe we'll escape some more damage from this president. So,
Yeah. Well, these unilateral decisions he's making are just frightening. So,
yeah.
you know, because in some of this research I was doing, all these decisions and they're called decisions, but all he's doing is writing up, you know,
Executive decisions, right.
which totally does not agree with what the idea of president is. So, you know, he's showing off a lot when in reality he is sort of trying to smother all the work that people have done up to this point.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I think he's definitely violated the separation of powers
For
between the executive branch and the judicial.
sure. Yes.
And then it was this last week too. It was Judge Borg. What was her name? Cindy Berg, and she made some comments about Trump. It was like a month ago, and then she apologized. And when you're sitting on the bench, especially in the Supreme Court,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be somewhat neutral,
Oh,
and you're not supposed to go into the press.
Yes.
And she did. It was Goldberg. I forget the.
Oh, yes, she did.
Yeah, it was like a month ago.
That's right.
She said it. See what I'm saying? And here's another thing that we got about 30 seconds left here.
Okay.
And we got to fly.
Yeah.
So next week we'll come up with a good topic, and then I have a radio show on September 11th. So we're gonna do a show on September 11th, and we're gonna talk about the anniversary of September 11th, and to all the first responders and the families, and we're gonna kind of revisit that on September 11th. So
Great,
I think
great.
that's a good show. So tune in next week, 12 noon, and I'll be back here with Peggy
Busceni,
right? And I would say co-host
Yeah.
with the Dave Mierswa Show. And thank you for coming on, folks. You have a good Sunday, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. And make sure you take care of yourself and your families out there today. And take some time off, enjoy it with your kids and your family. I'm going to be back next Sunday with another in-your-face topic with Peggy Busceni.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, take care.